First of all, I want to start with the contacts we had with the accreditation manager. They weren't as extensive as usual. I think y'all know CALEA is going to change the way they do the process now, and the on-sites are different, and what is done off-site is different. There are people from CALEA that do most of the file work, where in previous years we did all the file work, and we did a big hunk of it before we came here and finished it when we got here. But they wanted to change that, so we didn't sit in that room the entire time doing files the whole time we were here. It gives us more time to get out and talk to people. And so there wasn't a whole lot of file work before we came here. It was more like, research, look at your website, look at the internet, pull up articles on this police department, stuff like that, see what's going on before we came here. I want to comment briefly on the hospitality extended by you and your staff. Before we got here, worked real well with Mark. But when we got here, everybody's been extremely nice. It's been over backwards for us, and we certainly appreciate it. Everybody has been nice. It's hard for everybody to have a good day for 3 days in a row. What files we did look at, and I did look at some, were well organized, had the material that was needed in there, and weren't stuffed with irrelevant stuff. And that's a sign of an accreditation manager that has been down this road before, knows what is needed and what is not needed. So he did a great job on the files. While we were here, we talked to 32 agency members, just y'all, 32 of you. So that's about half, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty good. That's one of the higher numbers I've had since I've been doing this. We did 5 ride-alongs. I did 2. He did 3. The public call-in session, which was Monday, was 14 folks called in, and not one bad comment. All were good in their own way. Okay, that was the call-in session on Monday. As y'all know, most of you were at the public hearing. We had 3 speakers, all very positive comments. And now I want to switch to what we did. Under this new format, we normally would split up all the chapters half-half. We look at all these chapters. What we do now is we've certain areas we want to focus on the department and really deep, to see what's going on, see if there are any problems or any potential recommendations for consideration we can make to y'all. So I'm going to talk about two that I did, and then Chris is going to talk about some ones he wants to talk about. So I'm going to start with property and evidence. I always do property and evidence, and I have for a long time. Usually if you have an agency that is not squared away, you're going to find problems in P&E. And as you all know anything about these files, and most reports and inspections and audits are required in that chapter P&E, and it's for a good reason. And I have been to departments before that had some serious issues with P&E. That's not the case here on the proper report. I spent about 2 hours back there. I think Mary Smith, isn't that her name? Real nice lady. We sat down and talked about, from the very beginning, like an officer brings a piece of evidence off the street, the whole course of what happens with that evidence, where it goes. I inspected everything. We inspected the computer system that everything's tracked in. I physically inspected the area where the officers package the information and turn around to the lockers that she eventually gets it out of the next day. Inspected that area and the cages and stuff inside. So I think y'all may have just recently kind of changed where it was and all. So let me comment on where it is. I think the way it is organized is wonderful. You've got 2 cages that are secured and nobody can get into inside the secured area, okay? And one of them she keeps all the guns in, and the other one she keeps the remainder of the high-risk stuff in. Money, jewelry, drugs are in the other cage. So not only do you have to get into property and evidence, which is controlled and alarmed and swipe card, all that stuff, like it should be. Then you have to get into those cages to get into the guns of the high-risk stuff, and that's the way it should be. And a lot of departments will have these huge, like, old safes, and that's okay too, but the way y'all do it is really nice, I think. Well organized. Everything is very neat. The remainder of property and evidence, everything was packaged in boxes and very neat. So what I do after I talk to them about the processes in there is I actually do an audit. And I will go into the computer myself and pick out 10, 15, 20 item numbers. And after I get done writing down the item numbers, which are in this notebook, I made Mary go pick out and physically show me every single one of them. And I made sure I got a couple of guns, a couple of other high risk, and then the rest was property and evidence. So they're in the computer, I get the number, and I say, okay, Mary, show me all of these. One by one by one by one. And she pulled every one and showed it to me. So then I kind of flip the script, and what I do is I go around and make her open everything up, and I'll write down 15 or 20 numbers off of pieces of evidence I see that are stored in there, and then I make her prove to me that they're in the computer and track in the computer. So we go to the computer, and she has to pull up every one of them and show me the sheet on the computer. And we did that, and she pulled up every one, and every one was there. Okay? It's nothing worse when I do that than when somebody can't find something. But I do want to point out a few things. It is a very rare occasion when we go to an agency and the agency statistics or demographics are anywhere close to reflecting what the available workforce is in that city or county. So what I'm telling y'all is the percentages of minorities, women, and all of those compared between the available workforce and what your actual workforce is almost identical. And that's great because most police departments struggle in that area and they're way low on minorities and women. If you go, I mean, just about all of them you go to. Not the case here. It's almost equivalent. And I've only seen that one other time, and I've been doing this 20 years. So that's outstanding. And if you go back and look at your selection numbers for the past 3 years or 4 years, you're right at 50%. If you average those years, you're right at 50% of the hirings you make are of a protected class. Okay? And that's outstanding. And that's why the available workforce in Europe are working all that up, because rarely do we see that. Usually we write they need to work harder in this area. Just about every police department is lacking in women and African Americans, to be honest with you. So y'all exceeded and excelled in that area. So everything you're doing in your recruiting and your recruitment plan and whatever else y'all are doing, it's working.
But it's across the department, right? We go into the department sometimes where it's compartmentalized, or like this specific unit is just responsible for kind of the community relations piece, and that's not the case here. It's completely evident in talking to everybody across the agency that it is important. It was important to the patrol officers that I wrote with. They understood the importance of their community contacts, their neighborhoods that they're responsible for. They understood the importance of a smile and a wave. They understood the importance of stopping and talking to people just briefly. The traffic team understands the importance of why they want to reduce crashes and why that's so important to safety here and so important to providing good customer service. I talked with Matt and CID, same thing. The letters that you send out to people about cases, the just sort of the passion and the drive that they have to want to solve cases. Citizens Police Academy did get to see it, but heard a lot about it. And of course the Junior Police Academy, just another great example of really reaching out to the community. And that's, like I said, that's something you can't fake. I mean, either the agency does or they don't do it. And I think y'all would be commended because it's just completely across the board. I don't know what you're going to do if Smiley ever leaves as an SRO. I mean, we have succession planning in our agency in case the bus runs over But I don't know who you got to replace him.
Mr. Rob.
There you
You've
go.
got to find a way to clone him.
Yep. He needs to be training someone to take his spot right now, right? Because it'll probably take him a few years to get up to his speed. But on the flip side of that, you know, you look at a lot of times what an agency does for the community, and you don't necessarily see that back, but clearly your community supports you too. We saw that throughout the call-ins that he mentioned, that Chief Bennett mentioned. Again, saw it the other night when we were out to eat dinner with all the command staff, the number of people that come up and are truly appreciative of what y'all do and your efforts to help keep this community safe. And that's what it's all about. And, you know, you look on the news, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because there's tons of people smarter than me in this room, and who've done more in their careers. But that's where police departments get it wrong across the United States. They don't realize that we're best able to effectively police the community when we truly partner with them. And when we meet their expectations, they'll meet ours. And that's where I think, in a nutshell, that police departments get it wrong. They want to be an occupying force. They want to impose their will on somebody else, and that never works. It works great if you're the military, but it doesn't work so well when you're trying to police the community. So again, I commend y'all on that. You're getting that part right for sure. Just briefly on training, I like the way you do training. Selfishly, part of the reason I'm an assessor is because I steal things from people and go back and try to get our department to do things a little better. The practical aspect of everything you do, incorporating all of what an officer may face, all of what he or she may have to come across, that is so critical this day and age. You know, we train in silos a lot of times, and you're not doing that. You're pushing out the right things, in my opinion, that you can through DMS and PowerPoints and the videos and all of that stuff. And then you have the right interaction with an instructor, and your officers appreciate that. Again, during the ride-alongs, that was something I talked about, and something that they really appreciate, right? Because you're not siloing their training, and you're not, you know, they know that they may not always be able to go to a taser or be able to go to a handgun, that they may have to figure out a way out of this, and that's what good cops do. They become good decision makers. They don't, you know, if being a cop was easy, then we wouldn't have trouble hiring. I always heard you could teach a monkey to fly an airplane, and I believe you probably could. But I don't think any of us would get on an airplane that was flown by a monkey, right? I mean, you need people that are good decision makers, and that's what your training does. And then lastly, the technology piece, just briefly. Again, you're excelling in that, in my opinion. That is something that every agency faces issues with, but it's good to see that you're responsive to, like, changing your RMS system, for example, to make that easier for the police officers, and to keep up to speed with that. Your social media presence, of course, is outstanding. We talked a little bit between Mark and Matt about sort of your attitude on social media, and that's a great thing, because what that does is help keep you engaged with the community, lets them see that you have a normal human side to your agency, but then it also engages them so that they'll help you solve crimes and so on.
Just a few comments. I always want to talk about the ride-alongs just for a second. I rode with Matt Hubbard, my first one. He's been here for a few years, very professional. He did a lot of police work when I was with him. We did a bunch of traffic stops. He stopped a golf cart that was right down the street. I had to talk with that lady and man and their 2 chihuahuas that were in a cage on the back. And then we went to in front of a fire station, down here to the left. And you kind of sit in the middle of the road where it's X'd out, and you get them coming around the corner, and it's a problem area. He stopped a couple of cars for speeding, and wrote one of them a ticket, gave one of them a warning, so I got to see how he did all of that. And he spoke very highly of your chief, very highly. The second one was yesterday. It was a completely different ride-along. When I rode with Keith Isaac, who's been here 13 years, everybody was really busy, and it was only 2 cars, you know, clear in the city, and he was one of them. So he said he wasn't going to do a lot of proactive stuff. He wanted to stay available, but he did take me up. Y'all have some really nice neighborhoods here, really nice, really nice. And he took the time to shoved a computer in front of me and showed me everything that y'all use on the computer. He knew that y'all were getting ready to leave Spillman and go to a new one. And we laughed about that. He said he had just started to figure out Spillman real good. Now let me get to the report card part of this. So there's 459 standards that had to be examined over the last 4 years. And here's y'all's report card. Of the mandatory standards, y'all had 301 you met. Of the other than mandatory that you didn't have to meet, you had 67. Waived by CALEA 0, 20% 0. That's very good. That means on the others, you did all of them. You were 100%. A lot of people will take a 20% on a difficult one that they really don't want to have to do the work on. Y'all didn't do that. You did all of them. And 91 were not applicable. For example, y'all don't have holding cells where you hold people every night. That kind of stuff. So that totals up to 459. That equates to a 100 on a test. You did every single one, and you did it right. I've only seen 2 other agencies in 21 years that have done that I've been on accreditation business. So that is outstanding, outstanding.